The rain tapped against the bay window like a hesitant visitor, polite, persistent, unwilling to leave. Inside, the living room of the old brick terrace house in Brighton held its breath. The only light came from a single floor lamp, its amber glow pooling across the Persian rug, catching dust motes that danced like forgotten memories. She sat on the edge of the velvet sofa, rigid, still in her school uniform, dark blue wool blazer, white shirt collar slightly frayed at the edges, tie hanging crookedly, one end tucked into her belt as if she'd tried to fix it and given up. Her socks were mismatched, one navy, one gray, pulled halfway up her calves. Her shoes lay discarded beside the hearth, scuffed from a hurried walk home. On the glass coffee table, a folded letter from St. Aldhelm's Academy, the school seal still crisp. A phone, screen lit with a missed call from the head of year. A single, crumpled tissue, not hers. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Her fingers, resting on her knees, trembled, not from cold, but from something deeper. Something that had settled in her bones since lunchtime. The door to the hallway opened slowly. He stepped in, 12 years old, small for his age, hair still damp from the shower, wearing faded pajama bottoms and a hoodie that had once belonged to his older sister. His left knee was bandaged, the white gauze slightly stained. He didn't look at her. He didn't need to. His silence was the heaviest thing in the room. She knew what he was thinking. You were supposed to be there. It had started at 3:17 p.m., just past the park gate on the corner of Hove Lane. She'd been scrolling through Instagram, a new post from her friend in Manchester, laughing in front of a pub, arms around boys she didn't even know. She'd been planning her reply, her fingers hovering over the keyboard, when she heard the sharp crack of impact, not thunder, not a falling branch. A child's cry. She didn't turn. Her brother had tripped. The pavement was cracked there, the council had known for months, but no repairs had come. He'd fallen hard, palms skidding, knee scraping raw against the grit. He'd screamed, not loudly, not theatrically, but with the quiet, startled pain of someone who'd always trusted the world to hold him up. Lisa, he'd called out. She hadn't heard. Or if she had, she'd chosen not to. She kept walking. 10 paces. Then she turned, not because she'd heard him, but because her phone buzzed again. A message. A laugh. A distraction. By the time she looked back, he was on his knees, pressing his hand to his leg, eyes wide with confusion. Not anger. Not rage. Why didn't she stop? At home, he washed the wound himself, quiet, methodical, while she changed into her hoodie and scrolled through TikTok in the kitchen. Their father came home at 6:30, tired from his shift at the railway depot, smelling of diesel and wet wool. He saw the bandage before he saw the face. What happened? The boy didn't raise his voice. Didn't blame. Didn't even look at her. I fell, he said. At the park. And? She didn't stop. Their father didn't react at first. He set his keys down. Took off his coat. Hung it on the hook beside the door, the one with the small brass plaque that read "Home is where you're held." He walked into the study. Came back with the school letter. The one from last month, about the girl who'd been shoved into a locker and nobody said a word. Lisa had been there. She'd seen it. She'd walked away. He placed the letter beside the boy's bloodied socks. Then he looked at her. You were supposed to be his shield, he said. She opened her mouth. I didn't hear him. You were wearing headphones. I was on my way to work. And he was walking home with you. Silence. The kind that doesn't break. That hardens. He didn't raise his voice. He never did. But his eyes, the same deep gray as hers, held a weight she'd never seen before. Not disappointment. Not anger. Grief. For what she'd become. For what he'd hoped she'd be. He nodded toward the armchair. Come here. She knew. She always knew. The wooden paddle sat on the side table. Not hidden, not cruel, just there. A family heirloom, passed down from his own father. Smooth from years of use, carved with faint initials, J.H., 1972. It didn't leave bruises. Not really. But it left something else. Something that settled in the marrow. She didn't argue. Didn't beg. Didn't cry. She walked to the armchair. Pulled her skirt up just enough. Kneeling on the cushion, she leaned forward, gripping the velvet arms so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her blazer slipped off one shoulder. The fabric of her uniform, dark blue and thick, stretched taut over the curve of her thighs. The room was silent. The rain had stopped. Outside, a neighbor's cat yelled. Then, the sharp, clean thwack. 1. She flinched. A gasp escaped, sharp, bitten back. 2. Her breath hitched. Tears welled, but she refused to let them fall. 3. It landed harder this time. A deep, resonant thud that vibrated through the chair, through her bones. She didn't scream. She didn't sob. She pressed her forehead against her arms and let the tears come, quiet, hot, silent. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. She felt the weight of every stroke, not just on her skin, but on her soul. Not for falling. Not for the scrape. But for the choosing. For turning away. For letting someone small and trusting believe they were alone. The boy stood in the doorway, watching. His eyes weren't angry anymore. They were broken. And that broke her more than the paddle ever could. He turned and walked away. No door slammed. Just the soft click of a bedroom door closing. The sound was worse than any shout. The house slept by midnight. She didn't go to her room. She sat on the stairs, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the darkened hallway. She thought of how he used to follow her everywhere, to the library, to the seaside, to the corner shop where he'd beg for a sherbet lemon. How he'd copy her handwriting in his notebook. How he'd say, "I want to be like you when I grow up." She hadn't been worth it. She crept into his room just after 2 a.m. The door was slightly ajar. Moonlight spilled across the floorboards, catching the edge of his duvet, the stuffed rabbit on his pillow, the one with the missing eye, the one she'd sewn back for him when he was 8. On his nightstand, a half-finished drawing. A girl in a blue uniform, walking beside a smaller figure. The girl's hand was outstretched, not holding a phone, not tucked in her pocket. It was reaching. Beneath it, in crayon, shaky and uneven, "She's learning." She didn't wake him. She didn't kiss his forehead. She didn't say a word. She placed the first aid kit beside his bed, the one with the antiseptic wipes and the tiny tube of healing balm he always used. And the chocolate bar. His favorite. The dark, bitter kind with sea salt. She left it there. Then she walked back downstairs. In the mirror above the fireplace, she caught her reflection, hair messy, eyes swollen, the faintest pink mark still visible along the hem of her skirt. She touched them. Not in shame. In remembrance. Downstairs, her father sat in his armchair, reading. He didn't look up. But he placed a fresh cup of tea on the table beside him. Earl Grey. Her favorite. She didn't sit. She didn't speak. She just stood there, for a long, quiet moment, until the kettle whistled again, and she walked to the kitchen. And this time, she poured 2 cups. One for him. One for her. And when she carried them back, she didn't say a word. But she placed his cup beside his hand. And this time, he didn't look away. Outside, the moon hung low over Brighton's rooftops, silver and still. The rain had passed. The bruises would fade. But the lesson? That one, it would stay. Not as punishment. But as proof. That sometimes, the hardest thing to protect, is not the body. But the heart that trusts you to hold it. And that was the only paddle she'd ever truly feel.